Stop with the questions. Celebrate.
And then they say, is Donald Trump an intellectual? Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
Yosemite's one of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
Mike Lindell's a conspiracy.
But you haven't.
Person, woman, man, camera, TV. They said nobody gets it in order. It's actually not that easy, but for me it was easy.
Amazing.
He can't sit down. He's got a burning in his butthole. He's got a fire. He's got a flame coming out of his butthole.
Big, massive dumps.
Oh, I have a term for that. I call it corporate communism.
Somebody sent me a thing this morning where they're talking about putting the vaccine into salad dressing.
You see, this is a simple meme that you would find on the internet, but this meme is very real.
You ain't seen nothing yet until you see the flaming butthole.
Putting us on our knees to China.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
Around the nation, Waldorf Nation. What's up, everybody? It's Thursday. Welcome to another edition, another show where we are going to talk about fun stuff and also disastrous stuff. So, all right, let's get going. Let's do the breakdown today. We have Alex Jones. We're gonna talk about him. The frogs are not gay. I don't know, something interesting is happening with Alex Jones. And this is not related to this Sandy Hook, the Sandy Hook lawsuits or anything like that, or Donald, Alex Jones hiding his money. It actually has something to do with January 6th. Interesting. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna talk about that. We got Libs of TikTok, another update on that. We have a Republican fundraising text that is it's going to blow your mind. Just how terrible it actually is. And look, Republicans, you know they go low. This one's really low. All right. And then talking about low, we got Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell, at least according to a new book, from some New York Times reporters, Mitch McConnell secretly believed that the Democrats could actually take down Donald Trump. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I'm going to read you that report, and then we're going to laugh and laugh before we then cry, because it just really shows how doomed we are. There's some real doom going on today. And then CNN Plus has just turned into CNN Minus. I've got that story as well, so we're gonna have fun. All right, anyway. So with that, let's start out. Alex Jones. Before we do that, please like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. Obviously, it helps us out. And of course, super chats, subs over on Twitch here. Bits, all the wonderful stuff that helps us. Stars on Facebook as well. All of that stuff goes to help the show. Now, that said, let's do it. Jump in. Conspiracy theorist and totally not gay frog Alex Jones is in total cover your ass mode. Oh, wow. So, according to the New York Times, the founder of the now allegedly broke InfoWars, parent company Free Speech Systems, is in discussions with the Justice Department about an agreement to detail his role in the rally that happened near the White House. I'm sorry, not White House. Near the Congress building on January 6th that preceded the riots at the Capitol. So now he's reportedly seeking an immunity deal that would allow him to avoid being criminally prosecuted in exchange for telling federal prosecutors what he knows about the planning and the events that culminated in the January 6th riots. Jones' attorney gave prosecutors a letter signed by Jones in which he expressed his desire to speak to federal prosecutors about January 6th. Although the attorney then insisted that Jones did nothing wrong that day. No, hey, look, we really want to talk to you about what happened on January 6th. We've got some very important information. And by the way, totally innocent. We did nothing. We did nothing. We did nothing. Please give me immunity. But I did nothing wrong. So I don't really need immunity. But just in case, I'm asking for immunity. Now, why would you if you didn't do anything wrong? It's very, very curious because, for one, you don't ask for immunity unless you have a very important information and you know that you did something wrong. So you know you've done a crime or possibly a crime. And you're like, well, I've got some information related to that crime that might help you in other investigations. And I'll give you that information freely, but you've got to give me immunity first. That's very odd. Very, very odd indeed. Now, the attorney tells the Times, and you're going to love this in the New York Times, that Jones is only demanding immunity from prosecution because he, quote unquote, distrusts the government. Oh. So here's Alex Jones, the guy that says, the government's killing our freedoms. They're poisoning our water. They're making the frogs gay.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
So they're using the weather machines, and they're turning the frogs gay. And the government's working with the Satan-worshipping globalist pedophiles in order to enact the deep state. The Georgia Guidestone's going to kill off all humanity. But I can't wait to talk to them about what I know. Please don't indict me, Daddy. Ooh. Okay. Fascinating. Interesting. No, look, anybody who knows Alex Jones knows that Alex Jones is one thing, full of crap. Constantly full of crap. So I think he's only doing this to protect himself. Just like he is protecting his money from the Sandy Hook families by declaring Chapter 11 bankruptcy. He's going to reorganize his finances. He claims that he only has $50,000 in the bank. No, nobody believes that, especially when there are reports where he made about $165 million in 3 years from sales from his InfoWars store. And so he pulled in all that money. What happened? What happened to the money? Well, he had been hiding it, funneling it through different shell corporations. And so, look, it's a way to hide his money to stop the Sandy Hook families from actually being compensated for the emotional distress and abuse that they had went through at the hands of Alex Jones and his weirdo-ass followers. And so, look, that's what's going on here with that case. But here's the thing. Again, he's asking for immunity. Why? Why? Well, here's what the Times explains in their article. Quote, 2 weeks ago, another prominent Stop the Steal organizer, Ali Alexander, if you remember him, a close associate of Mr. Jones, revealed that he had received a subpoena from a federal grand jury that is seeking information on a broad swath of people, rally planners, members of Congress, and others close to former President Donald Trump, connected to political events that took place in the run-up to January 6th, the paper writes. Mr. Alexander, who marched with Mr. Jones, to the Capitol that day, has said he intends to comply with the subpoena. So Ali Alexander, now complying with the subpoena, going to give information, going to testify in front of the committee. And so, interesting. Now you have Jones very, very close to that situation. Does Mr. Ali, Alexander, what does he know? What does he know about what he and Alex Jones had done there, and not just done, but planned? So it's very curious. Now, here's the other thing. Subpoenas are one thing. We have had people flat out refuse to honor the subpoenas. I mean, they refuse to testify. They refuse to turn over information. Mark Meadows, Steve Bannon, they're no longer complying because they have seen the weakness in the January 6th committee and how they're not actually able to do anything. They don't have the authority like Merrick Garland does. So they can refer criminal proceedings, right? They can refer them to the Justice Department, but the Justice Department actually has to do something now. And so with that weakness exposed, because Merrick Garland hasn't done anything yet and doesn't look like he's going to do anything, then why would Alex Jones go along with this? Either he's got something super damning and he knows it, or the government has something super damning and they know, and they all know it, or I don't know. I don't know what's going on. And so this is very interesting. And now the other thing is, and the question that I have is, all right, why would Alex Jones go along with it if he's going along with it at all? I know, we all know that Jones loves messing around with people. So could this be part of that? Could he be, I don't know, trolling? Just like he trolled the Sandy Hook families. The difference there is, well, one was a civil trial, the other's criminal. So, depending on what he's alleged to have done, could mean actual criminal penalties. Again, we don't even know if he has information and if that information is any good. So I don't know. So is Alex Jones legitimately scared of what Ali knows and is offering what he could know in exchange for possible immunity, or is he just trolling the court? I have no idea. Again, he's trolled the court before in civil proceedings, so I don't know. I don't know. It could be possible that Alex Jones knows more than he's letting on about January 6th, about specifically the planning of it. And so that enough is very intriguing possibility. But again, you actually have to have a Justice Department that is interested in, I don't know, justice for people who are involved or were involved with January 6th, and they actually have to be able to back it up. And so I don't know. We're going to have to see what's going on. So all of this, again, possibly a fake out or not. I don't know. We'll see. Stay tuned. Why Donald isn't in jail yet is beyond me. Weakness, my friend. Weakness of Merrick Garland. It's the only thing I could describe it as. Although this might be related to the Mitch McConnell story I'm going to talk about later, because there is some reasoning in there as well that Republicans are using, and it is interesting. All right, let me just adjust this a little bit. Well, high. All right. The Twitter account Libs of TikTok has been deleting many of its most hateful, disastrous tweets following the Washington Post unmasking the owner of said account. Now, Shia Raichik, the woman behind Libs of TikTok, has been deleting dozens of tweets calling calling LGBTQ people mentally ill, and most notably accusing teachers, educators, and people who are against laws like the hateful Don't Say Gay bill in Florida, for example, groomers. as well as, of course, many of the videos that they had taken from TikTok and posted to their right-wing audience, calling those people groomers as well. And so, look, if you're calling people groomers without evidence of grooming, well, that would be defamation. That would be a smear in these people. So let me give you some examples of the tweets they got rid of. So here's a couple of these. Again, taking TikTok videos of LGBTQ plus people and just and teachers and just accusing them of groomers, being a groomer. Teacher brags about grooming kids. Minnesota preschool teacher admits to grooming kids. You watch the videos, of course, and I don't have them because they deleted them. At least the libs of TikTok deleted them. And so, but if you watch the videos, and the Surfs actually did a great breakdown where they showed the videos in context, you can see that they did nothing. They didn't talk about grooming at all. So you're just taking these random people, showing them to the 600,000 people that are that follow that account, including people like the Florida spokeswoman for Ron DeSantis, and you're just saying these people are groomers. But they're not. They're not actually groomers. And so, again, that is a disgusting smear. Absolutely disgusting. In fact, there's another one here. Let's go to this. So, again, there's one on the left. Teacher at schools doesn't want a parent to find this. She leads a GSA Gay Straight Alliance Club and lets children tell their parents it's a study group. Okay. Again, they accuse them of being groomers. And then there's this other person, Michael Johnson, who was a superintendent of the Eau Claire School District. Again, they're smearing as a groomer. And so, look, grooming is very specific. Basically, it's alleging that someone is taking children and basically preparing them to have sex with said children. That's a very serious allegation. And that's an incredibly terrible accusation, a terrible thing to be accused of, especially when there's no evidence of that behavior actually happening. Now, the other thing is that they had also smeared the Trevor Project. Now, the Trevor Project is a youth suicide prevention hotline for LGBTQ plus folks. There's no evidence of that. In fact, they're trying to save young people's lives from the effects of, I don't know, things like this anti-LGBTQ legislation that keeps getting passed. So now the deleted tweet archive also claims to have recovered about 3,000 deleted tweets from libs of TikTok. One of the deleted tweets reads, "This is a teacher promoting a book containing pornographic content. Groomer." Again, here we go, calling people groomers when there's no evidence of that actually happening. So now, there's a couple things going on here, all right? I think some people are missing this story. For one, what I see, and this is coming from people that are ostensibly claim to be on the left, right? That, libs of TikTok didn't do anything wrong because they're just reposting cringe. Are they reposting cringe? Yeah, some of it is. But what they are adding is commentary to it. Again, if they were just adding commentary like, oh, I don't agree with this person, or look at this ridiculous person, ha ha ha. All right, fine. But when you're smearing them as groomers and pedophiles, well, then that's where it draws a line. That's where it gets into defamation. That's where it gets into smears, because it's not true. And what they're doing as a result is engaging in cancel culture, bragging about getting teachers fired for essentially being inclusive to their students, or for just being gay themselves. One example, Tyler Rinn. Tyler Rinn is a former English teacher in Oklahoma. So now he had posted support for his LGBTQ students and kids that are shunned by their parents. He said, "I'm proud of you and that I love you all and that you're welcome." And so now this person was featured on Libs of TikTok, right? So they took the video, and of course, as a result of that, he was hit with lots of harassment and death threats. Once again, being accused of being a pedophile. And that's what they're doing. Now, Michael Johnson, I showed you that tweet from Libs of TikTok already, where they take this guy who basically defended a policy where you didn't have to tell parents of LGBTQ plus kids that that's how they're identifying in school. So now you might think, well, wait a minute. Why would you not tell the parents? Well, think about this. There's a lot of effects that telling the parents about their child being LGBTQ plus. There's a reason, right? They don't tell them because they're not comfortable, because they don't believe that their parent is going to support them. I wish they would. But they're telling these teachers in confidence that, hey, I feel this way, but I'm not comfortable going out for my parents or coming out to my parents because I don't know what their reaction is going to be. They might kick me out of the house. I might be punished, might be tortured by being sent to a gay conversion therapy, place where it is still legal to do that, which again is torture, by the way, and doesn't even work. And so there are many reasons why they don't want to tell their parents about that. Now, this guy defended that, and here's one anonymous message that he was sent. Quote, "I'm going to kill you and shoot up your next school board meeting for promoting the horrific radical transgender agenda. It's now time to declare war on you pedos. I'm going to kill you and your entire family." That is a quote verbatim. So this email shows up, and this guy's like, well, first of all, I'm not going to back down. That's horrible. Here's the kind of hate that I've been getting. And so what did they had to do? They had to beef up their security and at their school meetings. And so, look, that's the thing, okay? Now, this is all for allowing LGBTQIA plus kids to exist in schools. Now, I know some of you, again, are like, yeah, but here's the thing. You got to tell the parents that don't parents have rights? Parents have rights? They do, but here's the thing. If you want to inflict torture on these children by denying them their identity and who they are, kicking them out, abusing them, disowning them, sent to conversion therapy, again, if you're in favor of doing that, and you're going after people who are allies to LGBTQIA plus people, then, I mean, if you're going after those people that are supporting this and calling them groomers for supporting kids, I mean, that's you're a straight up monster. Honestly, this is disgusting. It's all around horrific. Now, that's why this account is in a mad dash to delete some of their worst defamatory tweets. And I think that's important for us to highlight this as well. Because, look, a lot of the arguments that I see from people that are like, well, I don't really like it, but they have a right to say it, and you shouldn't go and censor them. This isn't just existing online. There's no solid line between online and real life anymore. They mix. And so I know some of the arguments from people, again, Crystal Ball, Glenn Greenwald, hey, look, this is bad, but, they have the right to see that because, they're just reposting these videos that people have already posted of themselves. That's all that we're doing. Again, no, you're adding smears and allegations of being a pedophile. That takes it way beyond posting what is potential cringe. They put people's lives in danger. They've gotten people fired. They did real life cancel culture. Okay. Again, this is a 600,000 follower account that is basically punching down at minorities, punching down at people who are absolutely powerless. And they're in it for clicks. They're in it for fame. And so, yes, it has spilled into real life. These things are affecting real people, real kids, all right? And it's had a real effect on policy. Christina Pushaw, as I mentioned, DeSantis' spokeswoman, she has championed this account. She's been, Tucker Carlson. She has been on Tucker Carlson. And again, you have hundreds of anti-trans bills that have been proposed and many implemented as a result of all of this sustained assault against that community, LGBTQ. So yes, this matters. This matters a lot. If you're actually into protecting children, then you would protect their right to identify the way that they choose. And you would protect their right to have knowledge of what these communities are and who they are and what they do. Okay. What I think somebody asked why there are so many of these kids now. What do you mean? They've always been around. Maybe it's because we're hearing more about them because of the unprecedented assault against them, and at a certain point before this, they were feeling comfortable enough to come out and to be themselves. Are you sure these kids are identifying as trans because, well, I don't know? Then why come up with that accusation if you don't know a reason? That seems like you're reaching for something to explain it, you know, as opposed to they've always been that way or they've always felt a certain way, and now that they have some knowledge, now that they've heard about it, they're like, oh yeah, that makes more sense. Like, oh, wait, that is how I feel. Weird. So it just seems odd. A true trans is born that way. It's not a choice. Exactly. And again, usually you know, but you can't put it into words. They may be confused children. What makes you say that? Like that's the accusation, but once again, what makes you believe that they're just confused? Not understanding the differences because they're children, or maybe they haven't been exposed to it, and so they don't know. That's why teaching them about it actually, makes sense. You explain that, hey, what this is. Here's what this is. Here's what trans is. Here's what gay is, and this is what it's about, and that's it. I mean, again, you expose them to knowledge. Knowledge isn't going to turn some, and this is what's frustrating about the right-wing narrative on this. Knowledge of something does not make you do that particular thing. If you are not gay or trans, then being exposed to the knowledge of gay and trans people and how they exist is not going to turn you into that. That's not a thing. Okay? That's not a thing. Somebody who is a straight person is not going to be turned gay or trans by being exposed to gay or trans people or to gay or trans ideas. That's pretty ridiculous. If you extend that knowledge, or that logic, I should say, to other things, it can get real weird real fast. And you don't want to go in that direction. All right. Well, let's move on. Yeah, educating children is now considered grooming. By the right, yes, absolutely. That's what they believe. And it's pretty gross. Moving on, let's go to an incredibly horrible fundraising message. And this is what it's all about. A Michigan Republican is using a disgusting lie in order to raise money. Now, this is a fundraising message sent by State Senator Tom Barrett, now who is seeking the Republican nomination for a newly drawn 7th congressional district. Here's what he claims, quote, President Biden is forcing 5-year-olds to learn about gender reassignment surgeries, gender identities, and other radical ideas, adding that every American needs to step up today and stop this sick and twisted ideology for poisoning our children. Here's an image, a screenshot obtained by the Michigan Advance. Here's what it says. Confirmed. Your child's gender reassignment surgery has been booked. Now, if you get this message, you're going to be like, what? What is going on here? What are you talking about? Appointment details. Appointment for your child. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. Oh my God, it's happening. They're forcing our children to transition. They're going to do surgery on them. No. And it adds, if you would like to cancel this appointment because you do not believe in teaching young children about dangerous transgender ideologies, please sign your name now. So that right there is horrendously dishonest. I mean, honestly, I don't think I've seen anything worse. Wow. So now, obviously, let's go and debunk some of this stuff, right? So look, Joe Biden's not doing anything of the sort. What is Joe Biden doing? Nothing. Not on this issue. No. And so, look, as far as education, right? Generally, education, the curriculums are controlled at the local level. And so the federal government and Joe Biden specifically don't have anything to do with this. Secondly, gender identity. I love how they say gender identity is a radical idea. No, gender identity has always existed. Again, even the people that only believe in the gender binary, that's still identity. And so, yes, if you're a straight, non-trans man, that's a gender identity. And so, look, the whole thing seems pretty ridiculous when they consider it to be radical. It's existed in some form always, from the beginning of time. There's nothing radical about being honest with yourself and with the world about who you are. Now, secondly, there aren't children getting reassignment surgeries. And for one, there's nobody advocating for that. And the only thing that's being advocated for when it comes to children is reversible hormones and reversible puberty blockers. Again, note reversible, meaning that you can stop at any time and it reverses the effect. That's it. So now the reason that they do that, this is accepted medical science, is that it allows this person to transition into their preferred gender. That's it. And again, completely reversible. And so I don't know what the issue is here. And by the way, this has been, and what this is gender affirming care. Okay? And so look, it's been proven that having access to this gender affirming care actually saves the lives of young LGBTQ folks. It is keeping them alive. But here's the thing. Okay? The right wing does not care about keeping them alive. They really, really don't. Because for one, shoving them back in the closet, which they seem to be doing, would be a death sentence. And if you would rather have a dead child than a trans child, you're a monster. You're monstrous. You're a bad person, period. Now, there's more. That message has since been replaced with another appeal in which he also claims, Democrats are hell-bent on destroying our faith, removing God from the center of our nation, and pushing transgender ideology on young children. Without your immediate support, Pelosi will have all the ammunition she needs to destroy Christian Republicans like Tom Barrett and completely eviscerate our traditional values. So, look, all of that is just absolutely ridiculous. Nobody cares what you believe. Nobody cares what God you believe in or how you pray. The only thing that I care about is if what you are doing is harming another person. That's it. That's it. God is not the center of our nation. We're secular government, which allows you freedom for and from religion. So you can be as religious as you want. You can believe whatever you want as long as that's in your own household. Do your thing. Pray to Buddha, God, this flying spaghetti monster. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. I certainly don't give a crap. The only time I care is when you start pushing that religion on other people. When you start pushing those values on others who don't want it or who do not believe in it, and trying to do so through legislation. So now, all we want, though, as far as ideology, gender ideology, is for people to know that they exist. That's it. To know that they exist, and then they're not harming people here. They're not hurting anybody by being who they are. Again, people do not get turned trans or gay. They're either always trans or gay. No. I mean, they're always trans or gay. That's it. That's it. So if you expose someone who is not trans or gay to that ideology, what do you think that's going to do? It's going to do nothing. It's just going to do nothing. You'll be like, oh, okay, they exist and they don't harm or affect my life in any negative way? Oh. And so that's what a lot of young people have discovered. And you have a lot of apparently old religious bigoted people. And I'm not saying all religious people are bigoted. And that's the other thing, right? There's a lot of wonderful religious people who are not bigoted at all and love everyone equally. And I think that's great. And I'm going to show you an example here in just a couple of minutes of one such person who also happens to be a Democrat in Michigan. But before I get to that, I'm just trying to let you all know that the existence of trans and gay people is not a threat to straight people. And if you have been brainwashed into believing that they are, you have to look at what's driving that. Why would they distract you with something that is actually not a threat for your way of life? Why? You got to think, why? What do they gain out of this? Do they gain power? Is it a distraction so they can pick your pocket? You have to look at that. Because again, no trans or gay person or ideology is going to harm you or your family. That's just not a reality. So, that said, messaging from bigots like Barrett and others, that does harm people, that hurts people, that kills people. Okay? Now, Barrett's colleague, for example, Senator Lana Thies, a Republican from Brighton, recently accused 3 Democratic senators, including Senator Mallory McMorrow, of being groomers. Well, here they go. Groomers. So understand that once again, you have all these right-wingers that are using the worst smear against other people, that they are pedophiles. Now, that led to McMorrow making a speech that went viral. I want to show that to you because it is absolutely amazing.
You say that I'm one of them. You say she's a groomer. She supports pedophilia. She wants children to believe that they were responsible for slavery and to feel bad about themselves because they're white. Well, here's a little bit of background about who I really am. Growing up, my family was very active in our church. I sang in the choir. My mom taught CCD. One day, our priest called a meeting with my mom and told her that she was not living up to the church's expectations and that she was disappointing. My mom asked why. Among other reasons, she was told it was because she was divorced and because the priest didn't see her at Mass every Sunday. So where was my mom on Sundays? She was at the soup kitchen with me. My mom taught me at a very young age that Christianity and faith was about being part of a community, about recognizing our privilege and blessings and doing what we can to be of service to others, especially people who are marginalized, targeted, and who had less, often unfairly. I learned that service was far more important than performative nonsense like being seen in the same pew every Sunday or writing Christian in your Twitter bio and using that as a shield to target and marginalize already marginalized people. People who are different are not the reason that our roads are in bad shape after decades of disinvestment, or that healthcare costs are too high, or that teachers are leaving the profession. I want every child in this state to feel seen, heard, and supported, not marginalized and targeted because they are not straight, white, and Christian. We cannot let hateful people tell you otherwise, to scapegoat and deflect from the fact that they are not doing anything to fix the real issues that impact people's lives. And I know that hate will only win if people like me stand by and let it happen. So I want to be very clear right now. Call me whatever you want. I hope you brought in a few dollars. I hope it made you sleep good last night. I know who I am. I know what faith and service means and what it calls for in this moment. We will not let hate win.
Oh, I love it. Strong Democrats do exist. They do. It's rare, but they do. And I absolutely love it. And I love how she points out the performative nonsense. Because we see that all the time. You see people like, oh, I'm such a loving, wonderful Christian, but I also hate the poor. Well, what did Jesus say about the poor? Give all your stuff away. Give all your stuff away for the poor. And help them. Help them. Do something for them. Treat them well. Treat the immigrant well. They don't do any of that. It's all performative. It's all like, oh, I just want to be part of the club. I just want to be part of the group of Christianity. But I actually don't want to do any of the things that my religion actually tells me that I should do. Except for the to cherry pick out the hateful stuff, that I agree with this. So, look, beautiful speech. And by the way, it makes me kind of proud, living in Michigan, that I do have, even though Tom Barrett is a piece of shit, that we have people like McConnell to stand up against these pieces of crap, these hateful smears, these disgusting people. Because what they're doing is they're accusing people of pedophilia because they don't want to solve real problems. And that's it. The Republicans don't want to solve problems. They don't want to do anything, but they know that they can use this anti-trans, anti-LGBT hate bait to win elections and stay in power. It's lazy, but it's effective. It's effective. And now, on Wednesday, by the way, McMurrow also said that she is acutely aware that rhetoric like that, like the fundraising emails, can lead to the very real consequences, noting the Pizzagate conspiracy that led to a shooter going into a pizza shop in D.C. and preceded the far-reaching QAnon conspiracy. And so, look, 100%. What the right wing is doing is they're priming people for violence against these groups, against members of these marginalized groups. And not just that, but they're also going after educators. And now on the other side, politicians and allies that don't agree with them. That's what the right's all about these days. And that's why we have to stand up against them. All right. Mitch McConnell. Okay. I think we're all aware that Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell and former President Donald Trump are not friends. They're not the best of friends. They're not BFFs. They're not hanging out at Mar-a-Lago. Nonetheless, McConnell said that he would support Donald Trump if he were to become the party's nominee in 2024. So these two things, while they are seemingly opposed positions, there's a reason for it. So now I'm going to detail that, but first I want to go into a recent book that delves into their rivalry. Now, in it, McConnell is actually alleged to have supported the second impeachment trial put forward by the Democrats against Donald Trump. So now, the Democrats, they say, this is Alex Burns and Jonathan Martin from the New York Times, so the Democrats are going to take care of that son of a bitch for us. McConnell said of the House's 2021 impeachment proceedings. The reporting comes from Burns and Martin's forthcoming book, This Will Not Pass, Trump, Biden, and the Battle for America's Future, which is based on hundreds of interviews with lawmakers and federal officials, as well as the contemporaneous documents through the 2020 election up through the aftermath of the January 6th insurrection. Now, in it, they detail how McConnell was furious about the insurrection. His wife, Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao, resigned on January 7th, citing what she said was a traumatic and entirely avoidable event. Here's what he said on January 7th, quote, "I want to say to the American people, the United States Senate will not be intimidated. We will not be kept out of this chamber by thugs, mobs, or threats. We will not bow to lawlessness or intimidation." Okay. Now, unfortunately, that's exactly what he did. That's exactly what he did. He bowed to lawlessness and intimidation. In fact, according to the book, McConnell and other top Republicans had a brief window during which they could have, or they believed that they could force Donald Trump out of the party. Now, obviously, that did not happen. But in that time, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy went so far as to suggest that he would privately tell Trump that it was time to resign. Not that it would do anything, honestly. Not that Donald Trump would actually have resigned. But at least it would have had Kevin McCarthy in the record saying, well, you know, time to go, sir. Time to go. Now, McConnell also told two of his longtime aides over Chick-fil-A back in Kentucky on January 10th that if this isn't impeachable, I don't know what is. Well, that's true. So then why did Republicans and McConnell all vote to acquit Donald Trump? Except for a couple of people, for example, Mitt Romney. Because it's about power. That's what it is. In the end, GOP leaders felt that their party, their base, would stand behind Trump. And he was right. They were all right. And they still stand by Donald Trump. In fact, look, that fact got McCarthy to back himself away from previous remarks saying that Trump bears responsibility for the riot, which he does. While McConnell supported Rand Paul's argument that he could not be impeached. On that, he said, quote, "I didn't get to be leader by voting with 5 people in the conference." So again, this is a calculation that is all about power. Power. And that's relevant because all they cared in the end was making their voters happy and keeping themselves in power. And that meant not getting rid of Donald Trump. These people would let a democracy end completely if it meant that they could keep their positions, keep their power, keep their privilege. And it's not just cowardice when it comes to Republicans. It is a desire to keep corporate rule, their donors, to keep them happy. Now, McConnell obviously overestimated the ability of Democrats to do anything, which I think is very, very interesting. Because look, the Democrats are weak and feckless by design, thanks to the owner-donors, money in politics, the outsized role of corporations and corporate rule, but he also overestimated the ability of the criminal justice system to handle Donald Trump. In fact, here's what McConnell said on the Senate floor on February 14th, 2021. Quote, "In one light, it certainly does seem counterintuitive that an office holder can elude Senate conviction by resignation or expiration of term. But this just underscores that impeachment was never meant to be the final forum for American justice. President Trump is still liable for everything he did while he was in office as an ordinary citizen, unless the statute of limitations is run, still liable for everything he did while in office. Didn't get away with anything yet." And now he won't. He won't get away with it. Because Merrick Garland is not going after Donald Trump for his role on January 6th. And look, you also have the Southern District of New York that has given up on its case against the Trump Organization for tax fraud. And you can thank, of course, District Attorney Alvin Bragg, a Democrat, who decided, yeah, you know what, I'm not going to go after Donald Trump. Now, as a result of the base's slavish devotion of Trump, McConnell's desire to cling to power, and the utter fecklessness of the Democratic Party, Donald Trump is going to skate. He's going to get away with everything, and he's going to run again. Very, very likely. Now, obviously, a lot of people are very, very concerned about this. In fact, here you had Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who spelled out at a recent town hall why this is a disaster. Take a look.
If we lose the House, this is no joke. January 6th was a trial run. And a lot of people don't seem to understand that. It was a trial run. And they're going to come back. And they win the House. Here's the thing, the technicality of what happened on January 6th. The only reason it wasn't worse was because Democrats had the House and they didn't have the votes in the House. If they take the House, then they have the votes to not authorize and legitimize the presidential election, whatever the results are. And so this is very serious.
Now, whatever you think about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she's 100% correct. Look, under the 12th Amendment, if no candidate receives an absolute majority of the electoral votes, the House can choose a president. Now, look, a few things obviously have to happen for Republicans to be able to do this, and one of it involves electors. Now, wait a minute, do you remember? I've done a lot of reporting about phony electors, fake electors, showing up and submitting phony documents to the National Archives, saying that, oh no, because of voter fraud, Donald Trump won, when he actually didn't. And so we've seen that. None of them have been arrested. None of them have gotten in trouble for this, even though they have been found. I mean, we have found the documentation. Sometimes they have even affixed official state seals onto these documents that were fake. We also have seen 144 congressmen reject certification. So understand that a large amount of the Republican Party is in favor of just rejecting democracy. That's it. That's it. And again, if you have enough fake electors, you have enough confusion surrounding the election, enough allegations of voter fraud, which are not true, and again, Republicans controlling the House and rejecting the votes for whatever Democratic politicians happens to be running, then you could have a situation where the House of Representatives could choose a president. That's insane. Now, traditionally, that has been very unlikely to happen, but it has happened before in the United States' history. Look, Republicans, for example, in 1877 and in 1825, by the way, and the whole reason, of course, the 12th Amendment exists is because this had happened. In 1877, Congress decided the election between Hayes and Tilden. Tilden won both the popular and the electoral votes. However, Republicans in 3 southern states rejected that certification. Now, that led to the FEC being created, the Federal Electoral Commission, which included representatives, senators, and Supreme Court justices, who then voted along party lines to give all the contested ballots to Hayes, who won the election by a single electoral vote. In 1825, Andrew Jackson versus John Quincy Adams. And you also had, of course, William Crawford and Henry Clay. That was a contested election as well. None of them got over the threshold of electoral votes. Now, Jackson did have a majority at 99 versus Adams 83. However, none of them had the majority enough to clinch that win. So now the House got involved, and who did they choose? They actually chose John Quincy Adams to be president. So now again, this is, yes, this isn't unprecedented. This has happened before, and yes, it could happen again. Now, it's much more difficult nowadays because now you've only got 2 parties that are viable in this system, and so you'd have to have a very, very, very close election, which can happen. Now, should we worry about this? Normally, I would say, at least before all of this, I would have said no. But now, look, over the past 6 years, things have happened that have been very unlikely. A lot of people would say were very unlikely to happen. Donald Trump winning, for example. So many unlikely possibilities. The Capitol riots, the Republican Party's open embrace of conspiracy theories and fascism. Many, many things that people just years and years ago, 10 years ago, or even when I started, 2013, 2014, couldn't imagine have happened. Now, I'm starting to think that at this point, nothing seems too crazy to happen, especially when it comes to Republicans seizing power. Scary times. Very scary times. Okay. All right, we'll try to do the CNN story real quick. Okay. Whoop. All right.
There's insanity in the control room.
Let's do it. It appears that CNN Plus is gone. Dead. Now, less than a month after its launch, news broke on Thursday that CNN's new struggling streaming service will be shut down at the end of April, amid reports that it has had a very, very poor launch, as well as scrutiny from its parent company, Warner Brothers Discovery. So now, Truth Social has outlived CNN Plus, and the reason I bring up Truth Social is because it's sad, very sad, not doing well. And look, I predicted this a while ago. I have the video. You can go check out the earlier reporting that went through some of the problems that they had on this platform. But look, the reason mainly is because it had no reason to exist. CNN Plus, pretty useless. In fact, the biggest issue is that those who subscribed to CNN Plus wouldn't even have access to CNN because of weirdo exclusivity deals with, with the parent companies, right, and cable providers. Now, you're not getting CNN, so there's not even a plus here. It's the plus, but nothing. And so it's not even worth it. Like if you're into CNN, then already sad, right? Why not just watch CNN instead of paying money for CNN Plus? Made no sense. No sense at all. So again, lots of problems. No wonder it failed. Now, that said, Lots of fun responses to this on social media. One person says, this is Jordan Chamberlain, CNN Plus didn't even last as long as Jeffrey Toobin during a Zoom meeting. Ooh. Oh, that's good. That's a good one. Douglas Bonepar says, CNN Plus is now CNN minus. Beckett Adams points out the just massive amount of money that was dumped in this. Nearly $120 million invested in CNN Plus. It lasted roughly 3 weeks. Another person points out that CNN Plus cost 5 Fire festivals. Wow. Igor Bobik points out the people who should lose their jobs are the ones who came up with that business model. Again, disaster. You couldn't even access normal CNN. It wasn't a streaming service. There's just a couple of specials put on there. A couple of special shows, Wolf Blitzer and Anderson Cooper, and that's about it. So really not worth $6. David Faber says, spending $500 million a year on a venture the boss doesn't even believe in, while he tries to quickly fulfill a $3 billion cost synergy promise. CNN Plus never had a chance. We never knew ye. Patrick McGinnis says, FOMO strikes again. CNN launched a copycat streaming platform, but it wasn't a streaming platform. Without really thinking it through, and it's been a spectacular failure. Sad to see such a waste of talent and money, but you gotta look before you leap. So now, before you think I'm like celebrating the loss of people's jobs, yes, I am cognizant of that fact. Now, understand that I'm trying to point out how this was doomed from the start, and that everyone knew it. Everyone knew it. When the details came out, everyone was like, why? Just why? And nobody could answer that question. Nobody. Not even people who work there, not even CNN. In fact, CNN's Brian Stelter and Oliver Darcy published a report on this. And they described a town hall meeting where the CEO, the new CEO that took over for Jeff Zucker, had spoke with another person, streaming chief J.B. Perrette. Now, they had broke the news to CNN staff. Perrette reportedly expressed frustration during the meeting, saying some of this was avoidable, but prior leadership decided to just keep going with CNN Plus before the Warner Media Discovery merger earlier this month. From the report, Licht told employees that it was a uniquely shitty situation. True. Hundreds of CNN Plus staffers may lose their job. He said in an internal memo that all CNN Plus employees will continue to be paid and receive benefits for the next 90 days to explore opportunities at CNN, CNN Digital, and elsewhere in the Warner Brothers Discovery family. Staffers who are not absorbed elsewhere in the company will receive a minimum of 6 months of severance. He added, "It's not your fault that you had the rug pulled out from underneath you," he said as he vowed to minimize the impacts to its staff. So, look, obviously, I do care about the workers. I don't really care about the overpaid hosts, but like the camera people, the directors, the producers, the people that are making an average regular person's salary. I do care about those people. And I don't like the fact that, they've lost their jobs, or some of them will lose their jobs. But if they hold true to their promise of being able to, put them in other places in the network, be able to keep their jobs, or to get a 6-month plus severance package, then I guess it's not so bad, because they're at least getting something out of it. Unlike, of course, the people who subscribe to CNN Plus, because you get nothing. This was just a money grab wrapped up in a terrible idea that just was never going to work. I hope that people, will learn from this and not go in the direction of doing something like this again. Because what we need is better news outlets instead of cash grabs. Okay. So, that's it. That's all I got today. Let's go do some super chats. Anthony Stark, happy birthday. And thank you for the very kind words and the super chat. Dango Mango says conservatives are notorious for using the G word. Yeah, they have been tripling, quadrupling down on that. Oh, let me turn off the sidebar here. Gabby Mathis says, live and let live, and adds AOC rocks. Madi Darno says, politicians who legislate to save their souls and enact God's will, their God's will, are the biggest impediment to a prosperous future for all humans. It's true. That is true. You want to do your religion, you do it in your own time, in your own place. Or in church, or something. Don't legislate, because not all of us believe in your same religion and shouldn't live by that religion's rules. Okay. Thank you to those super chats, by the way, for those super chats. Thank you, new follower, Black X Yamato. Hey, welcome. Yeah, good to see you here. All right. So with that, everybody, thank you. We're gonna head out. We're gonna raid into. Let's raid into Keffels today. Do that. And for everybody else, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate you. Love you all. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation. We'll see you all tomorrow. Have a great night.
Big, massive dumps.
Wet ass keyword.
Please clap.
Oh no! Venezuela.
Obama. Testicle tanning.
They're kicking me out the door. They're kicking me out the door.